ask you about the OIG investigation into the USC spying allegations. Is there anything you can say about
What when USC spying allegations? I don't. I'm sorry.
Reference and
Oh, you're talking about the investigation alleging Chief Moore ordered a investigation into Mayor Bass. So I will tell you, I don't know anything about it. When an allegation comes against the Chief of Police, the Inspector General does the full investigation. The department is not involved to really create independence there, and that's how it's maintained. So I don't know the details, and I have not been briefed by the Inspector General's office on the investigation.
do you have any general comment
I-
or response to
I don't. I really don't have any insight. The Inspector General will report to the Police Commission and not to me. So regarding that information.
The FBI came out with its first ever quarterly crime stats. Usually they're, I think, 2 years behind. Now with NIBRS, they're kind of almost real time. And it showed a pretty significant violent crime decline in major cities. I know the murder rate isn't up that much. Obviously, we don't have access to the data anymore as your system's evolving. But what are your thoughts about LA still seeming to be a bit of an outlier here?
Well, I'll tell you, my focus has been our crime and our data, and I am not oblivious to what the national crime trends are, but I've said it before, numbers are numbers. I don't know exactly where these national crime trends come from, their FBI reporting numbers. I know there's numerous agencies out there that still don't report on NIBR systems. So I look at it, I'm aware of it, but I focus on what we're doing here in Los Angeles. Again, we look at our homicides on a daily basis to see if there's any patterns and trends. Is there a gang feud? Is there something going on in the community where we can impact that trend immediately? Can we work with the community to make safer environments for community members, work with resource providers, the grid, the interventionists, to really go out there and use a all hands-on approach to impact our crime. And so that's what I'm focusing. We're challenged with our robberies actually more so than our homicides because they're up over 18%. Well, if I had that answer, I could fix the problem. I don't have the answer. I will tell you that what we're seeing is a lot more crime of opportunity. There's more people in Los Angeles, more people out on the streets. COVID is now gone. People are more comfortable being in public places. And for example, Rampart Division, where we're seeing the spike is MacArthur Park. There's more people utilizing the park, which we want to see. We want to see people out there enjoying public spaces, but you get the strong arm robberies or the threats, and somebody steals a purse, those type of things. So we're seeing that type of robbery increase. Again, it's having resources in the right place, educating people to harden their own targets and hide their valuables, those type of things, and working with the community to help us help them. And then it's also responding in a proper, timely manner when we get our 911 calls, and that has to do with our staffing. We're addressing that with recruitment. So.
Anything more on the off-duty officer who was involved in the shooting in Ontario? I'm sure you've had your briefing by now. You said last week that the officer was not back at work. Has that changed? Is there anything else you can share about your thoughts about it, if not the specifics?
Yeah, so public. What I have not said was that my condolences go out to that family, the family member of the deceased. Any incident where there's death involved is tragic. And so I do send from this department our condolences to that family. The investigation itself has not changed. I've not been briefed on it. Again, it's a DOJ investigation. They have all the information. The officer is not at work, still not at work, and DOJ has not contacted me to brief me on the investigation. So the criminal investigation is still taking place, and then we are going to stay out of it to do the administrative investigation after that criminal investigation is completed.
Chief, I wanted to ask you about pretext stops. It's something that the city council is going to take up this week, and I'm sure you've heard about the push to further restrict these sort of stops. What's your general view on that?
Well, I believe pretext stops, if conducted properly, are a good tool for officers to address and solve violent crime in the community. Again, if conducted constitutionally and properly. If officers are going out there and stopping anything that moves in a vehicle for no front plate, those type of things, Sure, sometimes those can lead to great arrests or addressing, but I also think it causes damage and jeopardizes our public trust when we're doing it for a non-strategic or non-focused reason. So, I have a balanced approach, and I think these conversations we're having about whether these pretext stops should continue or not continue are valid conversations. And I think, again, if done properly, they're valuable tools. If done improperly, it jeopardizes public trust, and I'm against that part of it.
I mean, in the event that further restrictions are placed on officers as far as carrying out these stops, what do you think would happen?
Well, I think that goes on to department leadership to understand the reasons why these changes will take place if they take place, and then to message that our job is public safety, and we're going to use the tools that are given to us in the best way we can to improve public safety. So, if restrictions are put on us, I'm going to be continue to visit roll calls, and I'll talk about this policy change or this law, and encourage our officers to still go out there, and we have a duty, a sworn oath to protect and serve, and use the tools we have to increase public safety. That's my role. That's all of our roles in public safety.
Do you have any sense that the limits that were agreed on by the commission, I think it's now 2 years ago, that set up that new protocol for a pretextual stop and making sure the officers record the rationale for doing it and the limits that were placed on them, do you feel like that's had a practical effect on the things that pretext stops were ostensibly aimed at? Finding illegal guns, stopping people who were involved in something criminal as opposed to just going about their lives?
Well, I think the biggest challenge when that policy went into effect was, again, the messaging and the training from the leadership position to really have the officers understand what that policy was trying to accomplish. It wasn't trying to, it shouldn't, and still shouldn't, prevent officers going out there doing good police work. Right? And then once that message was thoroughly conveyed and the officers understood the policy better, they were going out there and using that policy to continue to do good police work, make good arrests, take guns off the streets. Last year we had one of the highest years in number of guns that were recovered and arrested. So I would say, no, that policy has not thwarted that effort. But again, in the beginning, the real challenge was educating and explaining to our officers why we were doing the things we were doing. That's always been a challenge on a large organization, is communicating the why, not just here's your policy.
I wanted to ask you about the chief search. It sounds like there's been somewhat of a push among some command staff to bring in outsider. Has your position evolved on that, or you're thinking of whether?
No, my position is completely independent. I think the commission and the mayor should select the most qualified candidate for the position, whether it's an internal candidate or an external candidate. That process, or the application process, I think we all know, ends June 16th, and I'm just as anxious as everyone to see how long that process will take and who the finalists are. Because as I think everyone knows, I'm not leaving the department after I step down from the chief position. I'll be here as an assistant chief, continuing to help lead and assist this department.
Do you think there are any unique challenges that someone from the outside would face coming in and sort of understanding the LAPD culture?
No, I think we've talked about this. Well, let me rephrase. Yes, this is a large organization, and I would think we're unique in many ways. But I think we talked about this. I've talked about this publicly. That I'm looking to have an internal assessment done at what our officers and command staff perceive as challenges in the organization. So whoever this new chief is, internal, external, will have some feedback from their leadership team as well as the officers on what they see as challenges for the organization, and it'll give them a little bit of a roadmap to start off on the right foot.
Thank you, Chief.
All right. Okay. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it.